Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for watching. Appears we don't have anybody on the Zoom today asking questions. Everybody's a little bit busy, but I do have a question that's been sent in, and also another little email that's sent in, which I would like to show you. First, somebody asked a question about dry eyes, and I know we did cover a little bit about this last week, but what I like to do for dry eyes, or anything to do with the eyes actually, is I have a little spray bottle here of neutralizer, and that's just straight neutralizer liquid, and I'll just spray that directly into my eyes. You can also use a gel if you have the gel handy. Just close your eyes and rub that directly on top of your eyes. Let that soak in. But I'll also, I'll also spray that in my mouth, on my face to freshen up. It's great in the eyes if you've got anything to do with the eyes. If I've been cutting up onions, and they start stinging, I'll just spray the neutralizer straight in, and that works really well. Yeah, I've had people tell me they've used it for pterygiums, cataracts, styes, all sorts of things. Yeah, and I don't know what else there is to do with the eyes, but anything like that. I'll also take this with me on a plane, and I'll spray that over the seat before I sit down, just to remove the energetics, because it is a high vibration, and it will neutralize energies as well. So that just removes the energetics from whoever's been sitting there before, and the same with hotel beds, etc., etc. I'll use that as well. What else you can? This is just great for freshening up on the face. It also works well as a skin toner, so that's really good. Yes, I also have one other little thing I'd like to share with you. So just bear with me while I share my screen, and I will get this up. That's not going to do that. Yes, it is. There we go. Okay, let's share my screen. Okay, so this was sent in by Elaine. She emailed this to me, and she had I think it was it is a rust stain on her pathway, and she tried bleach and a few things to get that off, and was unsuccessful there. So she tried the soap neat, straight from the bottle, undiluted. Used that and removed that, and she sent a after picture in as well. So that's the after picture. So I just thought I'd share that with you. And you can also use, if you have anything that's really strong, like grease and oil, I like to use it straight. If I've been working on the cars and I've got on bikes and have really greasy hands, I'll use it straight from the bottle. I have a little pump especially for that. And that's really, I'd only use that for my hands. I wouldn't use it on any other part of my body, and only because I've been using the soap for a long time. And so, so my body's very used to it. But I'd also use that, for cleaning up oil or grease on anything, pots and pans, driveways, etc., etc. Somebody was actually telling me about banana sap. They had banana sap on their driveway or pathway, and they said, nothing will remove banana sap off concrete. And they used the soap, and I'm not sure what dilution they used, whether they used it neat or what, but they said it got the sap directly off of the pathway. which is a miracle in itself because nothing will remove banana sap. It's pretty yeah, strong stuff. So I have another little video I'd like to share with you. This is a video interview with Clayton Tedderton. Clayton was the founder of Miracle 2 Australia, and you can watch this whole video. It's on our YouTube. And there's also another one on our website called Clayton's Story, which is slightly different. It's not the interview, but it's him doing just a recording of his story and his life story and what happened. But this one's quite good. He goes into a bit of detail and talks about how it was used and how it was formulated and how it came about and how he resisted it for a long time, and so on. And, you know, all the miracles he had and all the things he saved and people he saved and himself as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen again. Just let me get rid of this and this one and bring this over to here. And I'll share the screen. I'll play this for 10 or 15 minutes and let you watch it. But the whole interview goes for about 1 hour 40, I believe. So you'll see that on our YouTube channel. If you want to watch that, you'll find that in there. And I'll see if I can put the link as well on when I send out the newsletter as well. So enjoy. Oh, I forgot to do one little thing before. I made this mistake yesterday. Didn't share the sound yesterday and it just did not work. Okay, so let's go.
The bass term, well, ladies' bass term, but she also owns 2 Christmas tree farms. I'd been swapping her 5 gallons of soap for 3 Christmas trees every year. One for me, one for Kirk, and one for Kirk's mother-in-law. And she called me up and said, Clayton, I know it's not Christmas time again,
but I need that
but
soap.
I need some more soap. And by the way, did you know that soap would heal skin cancer? I had come out of Korea with this hand almost froze off. It cracked. Every crease bled 365 days a year. I had about 8 or 10 skin cancers forming on my forehead. And when she told me that, I said, no, ma'am, hold the phone. Let me go jump in the tub of it. I had never used it for bathing or showering or washing with. I'd just been cleaning stuff with it. Well, she was using it to clean their boats and motors and her vans and trailers and all. And she said she noticed all of her skin cancers healed up. Well, she didn't have to go to somebody that asked them if it healed the rest of her body. She started bathing and showering with it. And she said, Clayton, you know my mother, her mother was 92 at that time. She said, you know, her old skin was just like tree bark. Cracked up, her staying out in the Christmas tree farm all day and going fishing with her. She said, I want you to look at Mama's skin when you come by here. I've had her bathing in that soap. It is as smooth as a baby's bottom. That's exactly what she told me. And so I went over there, and sure enough, the lady's skin, she didn't look like a 92-year-old woman. Her skin was beautiful tan, no cracks, no crevices in it or anything, no barky looking skin. And that was the first healing. I come out of Korea with 3 distinctive rashes on my body. One of them itched like crazy. The service treated me for 12 years. I give up on them. They turned me over to a dermatologist in Monroe. He tormented me for a year. And I walked in his office one day unannounced, and he had his shirt off, and he had the same crud I had. I said, are you taking those shots and pills you're giving me? And of course he wasn't. And so I never did go back and see him. I thought maybe I just had to put up with that. But from the first bath I took in it, my rashes left me. A month later, all of my skin cancers fell off. I began to run every man down that had a skin problem. I'd say, hey, dude, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to help you.
Absolutely.
And I run into a man over in Texas that had 40-something cancers on his head. He looked like something out of a horror movie. I run him down. I said, man, I don't want to try to sell you anything. I want to help you. I'm not going to charge you. He said, no, man, I'm going to pay you for it. I've tried everything else. I tried to give it to him. He wouldn't accept it. And about 2 months later, I was sitting up at the office, and I saw this truck from Texas drive up. I said, there's some dude from Texas out there. And he walked in the door and announced himself, and I thought, well, so what? He said, man, I'm the guy that had all them cancers. Look, they're all gone. He was on his way to Mississippi to visit his family. He said his other 2 brothers was eat up with cancer, and he was going to start giving it to them. He started selling it, was doing good with it. But I run everybody down that had a sore on them and just give it to them, getting them healed. And that's how it started, just one-on-one. It started that way.
Well, Clayton, I want to say that your skin is beautiful.
Well, for an old dude, 72 years old.
It's beautiful, absolutely.
It's not bad. My hand,
I can
there's no
understand.
cracks and crevices in it.
Right.
That hand like to froze off in Korea.
Yeah.
And I went from 1954 to 1989 or into the 90s. I could not shampoo my hair with this right hand. A hair felt like a dagger in those places.
Oh.
And it was torment. I mean, it was terrible. And now I run every sore-handed man down and say, hey, I'm not trying to sell you anything, I just want to help you. And that's how we've picked up customers, and it's just grown and grown and grown over the years. And hey, you know, the one soap, I just had the formulation for one soap. With 7 different ingredients to make that, to put a bottle of it together. And one day, my wife said, Clayton, that soap is drying my skin out. Now I've got oily skin. I got 30 weight oil running out of me every day. But she's got borderline dry skin. So some company had sent me some little bottles of cold pressed oils out of California. And so I poured some of the oils in the soap. There again, I know nothing about chemistry. I was just led to do this. And I needed a guinea pig, and the only one fussing was my wife. So I shook it up and I said, honey, use this. And she come back in about a week and said, Clayton, every dry-skinned person in the world will want a bottle of this. Boy, you ought to bottle this and get it out there to the people.
Right.
So we had 2 soaps. Then one day the Lord said, separate some of the products. And I separated it, and I just had 3 bottles of clear-looking stuff. People would say, well, what's that, Clayton? I said, I don't know. God told me to separate it. And they said, well, what will it do? I said, I don't know. That's God's problem. He told me to separate it. And one day there was 4 ladies, 3 men, and me and Kirk at the office. And they come in, they asked a question. I said, we need a name for this. So we joined hands around the table. I said, now, if God tells you something, stop us. And tell us. And when you're praying for something like that, a minute seems like an hour. I'd stop them every few seconds and say, has he told you anything? Because a lot of people have trouble if something comes to their mind or if God speaks to them in telling about it. You just got to prize it out of some people. And they'd say no, and I said, to myself, I just said, Lord, you've told me to do this. Now, we need a name for this. And as plain as I'm talking to you, he said, call it neutralizer. I'd never said that word in my life. that I remember. I had no need to say it. I stopped them. I said, has he told you anything? They said, no. I said, well, he said, call it neutralizer. They said, well, we don't know what it is. Sounds okay to me. So that was how the neutralizer got its name. And the Miracle 2 on the label, Pat and I was coming out of Biloxi and Gulfport, Mississippi. I don't know whether you know where that's at, Gulfport and Biloxi, but a little town up in Mississippi called Loosedale, Mississippi. We was driving along in the evening about 3 o'clock, and I looked out. We didn't have a name for it. It's just soap. I'd write on the bottle with a stencil pencil
Soap.
what it was. That's all I knew. And I said, God, what could we name it? And I looked out, and there's this little fluffy cloud floating along with the sun coming up over it. And all of a sudden, just Miracle Roman numeral 2 was wrote across it. And I told my wife, I said, grab a pencil and a piece of paper and draw me a fluffy-looking cloud with the sun coming up over it and write Miracle Roman numeral 2 down. Well, I got to thinking about it. That was the second miracle that God had given me. He had healed me. He gave me the formulation. Then he saved me. I don't know what the rules and regulations of religion is, but that's what happened to me. I don't have religion. I'm a Christian. So that was, Pat said, now Clayton, you've seen stuff wrote on the walls at the house. You're talking to somebody, now you're seeing something wrote in the cloud. We got to talk, boy. I said, Pat, I don't know what to talk about. Just write it down. I went to several artists, and they couldn't draw it. And one of my salesmen said, I know a boy that can draw it. We went to his office. He had hair down to his knees. And so he listened to me, and I said, could I pray and ask God to give you that vision he gave me? He said, sure. So I sat him down in his chair on his front porch and asked God to put his nervous system back together to where he could think right. We left at 5 o'clock. At 7 o'clock the next morning, he called me. He said, Mr. Tedderson, I've never been on a project like this. I've been up all night. I think I've got what you want. I went down there. That's exactly what I saw. I said, now, you pick the colors out. He picked the colors out that we went with. But that's how the name of the product come up. So the neutralizer, I just give it away to people. Hundreds of gallons of it. And people call me up and say, Clayton, you may think I'm nuts, but God just moved on me to put it in my eyes. My cataracts fell off. He moved on me to spray it in my throat, and my throat quit hurting. And I'll spray it in my ears, and I began to hear. Put it on my hair for a hair conditioner. I marinated some meat in it, and it tasted so good. It took a bunch of slimy, junky-looking junk out of the meat, and I washed my vegetables with the soap and neutralizer, and it took all the parasites off of it. And things just began to bombard us with usages for it. And then somebody said, why don't you make a gel out of the neutralizer? I know nothing about chemistry. I done something, and a bowl of it just turned to Jell-O. I couldn't get it in anything, so I just had a bowl full of it, and I didn't know what to do with it. So the next batch I made it on the inside of a 5-gallon container to where I could take air pressure and get it out. I started giving it away. People began to call me and say, man, I just rubbed it on aches and pains and it quit. I put it in my eyes. I had a sty on my eye and it went out overnight. I had poison ivy on me. I smeared that stuff around on me, dried up overnight. And things just began to come at me with usages on it. And so we had 4 products. Then somebody said, why don't you make a skin moisturizer? So I took everything and poured it in a pot. I took the soap, the neutralizer, the moisturizing soap, the gel, and put it in a pot, stirred it up. Now we've got the only odorless and greaseless skin moisturizer made in the world.
Amazing.
So that went along, we got it out. People that's got dry skin, that's what healed his hand up when I started making the moisturizer. And so then there was two ladies called me one day and said, Clayton, that soap costs too much to wash clothes with. I don't think it does for what it will do for you. It'll get you set chemical free because there's some bad things in washing powder.
Oh, there
If you
is.
don't believe it, wet your hand, stick it in your washing powder, be close to a water hydrant because it'll burn your skin.
Absolutely.
And anytime somebody has a problem, it concerned me. So I said, God, how could I save those people money? And he said, contain it. Now, you know, I don't know how you talk to God or anybody else, but I just talk to him like we're talking.
Right.
That's all I know. I said, contain it. And he said, put it in a container and throw it in the washing machine. So the first container I used was one of those 8-ounce bottles.
Oh, okay.
It worked, but it made a lot of noise,
Oh,
bouncing around
okay. Got it.
in the washing machine. I said, I need a container. I didn't hear anything. About a week later, Susie, my daughter-in-law, Kirk's wife, went out and bought some kids some toys. And as she come in the office, she stumped her toe, and the bag blew open, and this ball rolled out. And the Lord said, there's your container. I grabbed it up, let the air out of it with a volleyball needle. Then I took a pump-up sprayer and put the volleyball needle on the end of it and the clamp, and I filled it up. Threw it in the washing machine, and lo and behold, it worked. 209 soft spikes on it. I run to the store, and they just had 10. They said they're obsolete. We don't make them anymore. I said, you got to.
I need them.
God told me this was what I was going to use.
Absolutely.
And they looked at me like I'd fell off a turnip truck or something. You know, they gave me the man headquarters number real quick. I called them up, and they told me the same thing. They're obsolete. They didn't sell worth a flip. We don't make we just don't handle them anymore. I said, man, you've got to. God told me this was it. Call them up and see if they'll make them. They said, well, how many do you want? And I said, well, I can buy 5,000. So he called me back the next day, and they said they'd make them just for you. But it'll be 3 months before you can get any. So I said, well, how about faxing me a list of all your stores? So me and my wife would get in a car and make a loop through the United States and stop at every store.
My word.
So God let us go on a vacation. We would stay on the road till we opened the doors, and those balls would just roll out of the car and down the street, and we'd run them down. But we'd bring a load in, fill them up, and we was in business. We stayed in business that way. God let us go on vacation, have a good time, meet a lot of precious people, and that's how we stayed in business. So from that, I figure those balls will last 20, 30 years. Hey, you know, there's been a lot of fraudulent stuff out, but this one's real. We have never charged anybody for replacing. I had one lady call me and said, Clayton, my German Shepherd eating my laundry ball up. I said, well, did he look like he liked it? She said, he went around here blowing out bubbles for about 3 hours. I said, when I send you another one, roll it out in front of him, see what kind of a memory he's got.
Yeah.
But, hey, you know, things, we'll replace them after you use them. We've got 3 years in the book, but we've never charged anybody, I don't think, for one. If it went bad, we just replace it if it's 7 or 8 years, and this is about 9 years.
So soap is in there and neutralizer is in there.
And so now we make a water unit. And, you know, all of our water's bad.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's something we got to have. Our water is messed up. So these two chemists down in New Orleans, years ago, if you read the Amazing Grace scientific report, they spent 1 year writing that. Had nothing to do with it, but is two people that was chemists and scientists. This one guy holds several patents on things. They were just totally consumed with this Miracle 2 product. They said they stopped in New Orleans, got a gallon of ditch water, and put a laundry ball in and put on a paint shaker and shook it for 15 minutes. And one of them told me, he said, "You really don't know what God has revealed to you, do you?" I said, "No, I really don't." He said, "You'll find out." So now, by containing the product and putting tubes in a bigger pipe where water runs over the material in another pipe, all I do is report what professionals tell me. They say it replenishes the water with negative ions. I wouldn't know a negative ion if I run over it in the middle of the road. But God has rigged up, give me the formulation of something that you can have pure, beautiful, structured, clustered water in your house. You can use it in swimming pools. You don't even have to use chlorine to go in your swimming pool. If you hook it up with this, one swimming pool out in New Mexico, of course, they got a lot of red sand out there. They couldn't keep it clean. The pool stays pretty and clear, and it turned into a baptizing hole for the town. And
Oh, amazing.
so just nothing but beautiful things happening.
So
Wow, I hope you enjoyed that. I don't remember hearing that little bit about the laundry ball and the water before, so that was pretty interesting. And this is going to conclude our little video for today, and I'll get this out onto a newsletter and put it up onto our YouTube channel so you can all watch it. So with that, I am complete, and I shall say goodbye and see you next week. Bye.